point, we're not going to enter that on the web form. So let's just keep going next. All right, so we may have something to work with here. Elza A. Smith owns this property. That's P1. So once we have one that we could work with, click on the defendant tab, and here's the address that we are going to enter in tax records, the first site that we had opened up. So anything off of this site, first off, is going to always be Davidson County. You can go ahead and just select all city names, but for the sake of this, we have 4403 Soper Avenue. So that's what we're going to enter on the address here. So we'll go 4403, and I'm just going to do SOP, see if it pulls up. There we go. Elza A. Smith, and on the owner tab here below it, you're always going to want to click Elza A. Smith. So go ahead and click on that. Okay, so once we enter that and we click on her name, this is going to come up, and you're always going to see property address, and this is going to be the address that we're trying to potentially purchase from the seller. But that's going to be the seller, who the current owner is of it. And you can see her address, 935 Glendale Lane in Nashville. You see how it's different? It's another home. So she lives somewhere else, and this is her second home that's like a rental home or an investment. And this is what we're trying to purchase from her, not this property. But we have to mail her at this address to make sure that she gets it. Because if we send it to the rental property, the tenant may get it and throw it away, or no one may get it. So here is going to be who we're going to send to. The mailing address is always going to be the mailing address on here, and the property address that you're going to enter here is always going to be the property address here. So it keeps it pretty simple. Another thing that you're going to look for here, okay, before we know for certain that we can put this in, one criteria passed, they live at a different address from the one that we're looking up. That's the first step to get past. Second step to get past is to make sure that this is single family or duplex or triplex. If it says commercial, just go ahead and discard it. We don't want to mail to commercial lots. We only want to mail to residential. And the third thing that it needs to pass is it needs to be, the sales date here needs to be either 3 years or further, just to be safe. So it needs to be, if it's 2012 now, it needs to be at least 2009 and further back. So you can see this is well over that. It's 10/9/19 of 1984. So they've owned this for a long time. See, you don't want someone that just purchased the home and mail to them. But 3 to 5 years, that could be a good time to mail to them. So make a note of that. I don't want anyone that's 2012 or 11, potentially even 2010 in here on sales date. I don't want those. So you wouldn't even have to enter those on the sheet. But as long as it's like this one's good to enter. So let's go ahead and do that now. And you're probably going to find an easier way to do this than what I do. I use 2 screens for my deal. But so here's what we're going to do here. So now that we know we have one, you're going to enter the day's date that you're actually entering the entering this in. And so today's the 28th, and you need to do it the format that it says here. So as you can see right here, 12/1/12, it needs to be like that. So 11/28 of 12. And the lead status is always going to be new. That lets me know that there's new stuff in the pipeline for me. For owner name, always you want to do the first name first. So her first name is actually Elza. Smith is always, the first name here is always really their last name. So Elza, you can do the initial if you want, but Smith, need to make sure we have a first and last name. The property address, which is right here, and you can copy and paste this, but for this sake I'll just do this. 4403 Soper Avenue, Nashville. And I only need the first 5 numbers on the zip code. You can see how there has that, it has the extra 4. You don't need to enter those. I just need the first 5 before that hyphen. So all of that. That's what I need. I don't need the subdivision, and I don't need you to put Davidson County because I'll know that because it's an eviction. And the contact number. First, let's do this. Let's enter the mailing address. I will need the phone number as well on these if it has them, and I'll show you how to get that in just a minute. But let's see for mailing address.